Hello everyone. So today let us now move on to another kind of ionic polymerization, and that is anionic polymerization. So like in the case of the cationic polymerization, it can be easily understood that when we talk about anionic polymerization, we have the involvement of anions. So there, when we talked about the propagating chain, we talked about the involvement of a carbocation. So here, in this case, we have the involvement of a carbon anion. So if you remember what we talked about in the cationic polymerization, there we talked about an attack of an electrophile on the given monomer to form the initiator monomer complex. But here, as you can see, it involves an ion, basically a nucleophile attacking a monomer to give you the corresponding initiator monomer complex. Now, there also we talked about an important factor that should be present in the monomer when we especially talk about vinyl monomer. The substituent, that is the R group, should be such that it should be able to stabilize the carbon anion that is formed as a result of the attack of the nucleophile. So when we dealt with the cationic polymerization, there we talked about the generation of a carbocation, and that was stabilized by the respective substituent here. So here it is the stabilization of the carbon anion that we will be talking about. So we require certain groups that could stabilize it. So some of the usual groups that we often encounter in the anionic polymerization involves the nitro group, the cyano group, the carboxy group, then we have the vinyl and the phenyl group. So you now are pretty aware of how the anions are stabilized as you have studied organic chemistry in the fourth semester. So you have come to know about the carbocation and carbon anion and how they are stabilized. So carbon anions are usually stabilized by electron withdrawing groups like nitro and cyano, and some of the groups stabilize them by kind of resonance, or some of them by negative inductive effect. Nitro usually stabilized by a negative inductive effect more, but it also stabilized by a resonance stabilization as well. Most of all the groups here involve a resonance stabilization of the given carbon anion. So this substituent group is very, very important when we talk about any kind of ionic polymerization. That is why I specifically mentioned you about the various substituents that are needed when we talk about anionic polymerization. Now, an important thing that here we have to know that since it involves the negative ion, and negative ions are generated as a result of certain nucleophilic species. So the strength of the base necessary to initiate a polymer. So basically nucleophiles can be considered as having a basic nature because it is able to accept a proton, or it can act as a nucleophile. So therefore it can be considered as a base. So if you have a very good stabilizing substituent present on your monomer, then we require very less strong nucleophile with lower basicity, because they will spontaneously react with the monomer to form the corresponding to start up the initiation process. And if we suppose you have nitro group, we need only a bicarbonate to initiate this particular reaction. It's a weak base, okay. And if we have two cyano groups present, okay, if we have two cyano groups present, then even weaker, just water itself can initiate this particular polymerization process, and that is why this particular phenomena or this particular property is utilized in adhesive which contain cyanoacrylate. Some of the adhesive like the Fevikwik and all those things which rapidly sticks material, they actually use this particular mechanism, because the monomer, that is a partially polymerized monomer, would be there present there on the sticker, on the adhesive. So when it exposed to air, it quickly polymerizes and therefore lead to a strong adhesive property which is helpful in sticking various difficult materials. So that is happening because of the instant polymerization that is happening as a result of water. So whatever moisture that is present in the atmosphere, quickly these Fevikwik absorb that moisture, undergo the polymerization, and therefore stick to the two surfaces on which these adhesives are applied. So the basic mechanism by which these adhesive work is very phenomenal, and this we use in various different kind of adhesives. So whenever you check an adhesive this time, just look at the constituents of that adhesive. Some of the adhesive will be involving these kind of cyanoacrylates, which actually have this property of polymerization using atmospheric moisture and therefore act as a good adhesive. Now, talking about now the initiation step. So as we did in all the polymerization things that we discussed so far, we talked about the initiators that are used. Okay, so when it comes to anionic polymerization, we know that it involves anionic initiators. There can be two different types of initiator that we can use in an anionic polymerization. One type is the use of negatively charged molecules, and another initiator that can be used is initiators that can actually cause single electron transfer. Okay, so we are going to see through examples what are these two types of initiators. Then I think you would be able to properly appreciate them. So let us move first with the nucleophiles containing negatively charged species. So here we basically use simple organometallic compounds, and basically the metal that we usually use here is alkali metals. So very commonly used organometallic compound for this anionic polymerization is butyl lithium. Okay, so we know that butyl lithium, if you see, it is a organic compound. Okay, so butyl lithium. Okay, so what is important is these organometallic compounds, the alkyl part is actually a kind of electron rich part, and this is more kind of electron deficient part. So this part of the organometallic compound can act as a nucleophile or act as an anion attacking a particular vinyl monomer. Okay, so that is why we use such kind of organometallic compounds, because there the alkyl part can act as a negatively charged species and therefore carry out the anionic polymerization. So we have butyl lithium. Why we use butyl lithium is because they are low melting and they are soluble in inert organic solvents. Now, why this is important is because when we studied about lithium in your 5th semester, you know that the compounds of lithium exhibit a covalent property, that is because of high charge density and smaller size, and because of Fajan's rule we can get to know that these compounds that are formed by the lithium are usually covalent in nature, and that covalent nature makes them soluble in non-polar solvents, and that's why they are soluble in organic solvents. So therefore we can use these initiators in their homogeneous condition. So when we use organolithium compounds in inert organic solvents as initiators for carrying out anionic polymerization, we can say that this process is a kind of homogeneous process. However, if you use higher alkali metals like sodium or potassium compounds, they have a more ionic character and therefore they won't be soluble in organic solvents. So when we use such higher alkali metal organo compounds, these processes would be more of a heterogeneous process rather than a homogeneous process. So if you use organolithium compounds, it would be more of a homogeneous process. However, if you use higher alkali metals, it would be more of a heterogeneous process. Another important thing I here to mention is we have examples in which we use alkali earth metals like Grignard reagent. It's a magnesium compound also used in anionic polymerization, but their usage is pretty low. So most common type of organic compounds are used is made up of alkali metals. Now the second type of initiator is the one involving electron transfer. So basically here again we use alkali metals. We use alkali metal solutions in liquid ammonia or ether solvents or as suspensions in certain inert solvents. So these solutions you might have seen already in your 5th semester when we talked about the non-aqueous solvents. So there you might have talked about the sodium in liquid ammonia and ether having a electron rich solution. So these can be used as a electron transfer agent. Another compound that can be used for carrying out electron transfer processes certain complexes of alkali metals. So if you have the alkali metal acting as a donor, and if you have a aromatic or unsaturated compound acting as a kind of monomer, then it can transfer the electron and therefore form a radical anion, which can in turn help in initiation of the anionic polymerization. So here you can see it's a naphthalene and you have a sodium. So it transfers the electron into this to generate a radical anion. This is pretty easy to understand. Here if you write the double bond here, if you write all the double bond, so when it happens you have electron donated here. So we have the movement of electron, half electron like this. So if you see here, it would be more of a kind of negatively charged radical, and here a radical is generated. And when they are like conjugated, you can write it in a hybrid form. So this is more of a hybrid form that is written in this structure, but actually what is happening is this electron is transferred here. So you have homolytic cleavage of this double bond generating a radical at this point and the radical at this point, and this radical combined with this radical to form a anion here and a radical here, and that's why this species is a radical anion. And you can write conjugated structures of this, and a resonance hybrid structure is what is written in this particular structure. Similarly, you can see here also sodium acting as a electrophile. I will continue this discussion in the next video. Thank you.